I'm here as part of Unionlearn, which is part of the TUC. It's the learning arm of the TUC. And I want to talk about the Technician Pathways project, which we've been running, which we've been doing to help develop new career pathways for technicians in conjunction with professional bodies, and Jazz is going to say more about that after me. But also to rediscover a distinctive voice for trade unions in the technician arena. Now, as you are a trade union audience, whether you're receiving this live or whether you're receiving this months afterwards, I think I'll give you a bit of context and just a little bit of political context as well. In the 1980s, which some of you might remember well and some of you might not, it was a difficult economic and political climate for trade unions, and it led to considerably reduced membership. And what this led to was a process of consolidation of trade unions along sectoral lines rather than occupational lines. So you go back into the 60s and the 70s, there were trade unions around that represented just technicians. So that was quite a change at that time, and it's something that hasn't necessarily been fully addressed since then. There was a move away from industry training boards, from tripartism, so that's basically government, employers and trade unions working together to address economic issues and skills issues in particular. And the training market was introduced, so there was less cooperation between all the different parties when it comes to skills issues and getting people into jobs. So it's a reduced influence for trade unions again in that environment. Apprenticeships were suffering. You may well be aware that apprenticeships almost died a death. Fortunately, they've been largely resurrected, although there's much work to do to make sure that they're high quality apprenticeships. And there was very little recognition increasingly from the 80s into the 90s and onwards of the valuable work that technicians do. Pathways into technician roles, apprenticeship roles, were depleting rapidly, and it was difficult to progress from that role also into more senior engineers roles or more senior scientist roles. Training support for technicians diminished compared to what it used to be. And all of this is a very poor record compared to, for example, Germany, that has far more technicians and is doing far better economically than we are. And this has led to a huge skill shortage. If I tell you that there's an estimated 450,000 new technicians needed by 2020, that's a lot of people that are going to need to be trained to fulfil those roles. And there are actually at the moment 1,069,000 around about technicians in the UK. That's about 3.7% of the UK workforce, but the EU average is 5.3% of the workforce actually being technicians. And to give you one further comparison, China has increased its technicians by 7 times in just the last decade. So it gives you a sense of how important the technician role is to modern economies and how important pathways for technicians to enter into membership and receive continued professional development and be registered and recognised for the skills that they hold and be able to kind of map their way forward if they choose, or consolidate their learning and their status as technicians if they choose that way as well. And so we believe that there needs to be a virtuous circle of recognition for registration that includes employers valuing registration and actively promoting it, employees seeing its benefits and wanting to do it, trade unions supporting technicians and would-be technicians to pursue registration and maintain that registration, and professional bodies to be there to support technicians and in their careers and support their continued professional development. Now, just to say a little bit about the benefits of registration, which I'm sure we'll get into in a bit more detail today, but for the individual, we're talking about if you, once you become a registered technician, you have the EngTech, you're talking about a qualification that would have international recognition. So it's the possibility to go and work in other countries should that person choose. It's also the opportunity to convert existing qualifications. So you may already have existing qualifications. They can be accredited by the professional body as a part of the registration process. It's also an opportunity to prove a level of knowledge and understanding and competence that that technician has. So again, that helps with portability if they want to look elsewhere, or if they want to look internally at promotion opportunities or development opportunities. It might help with a pay rise too. Entitlement, it's also once you have the EngTech, you're entitled to use the designation as a registered technician, so you can put EngTech letters at the end of your name. It's a demonstration of a professional standard. It's not necessarily been available to many technicians up until now. It shows a commitment to continue professional development, very important in any workplace these days, particularly professional roles and semi-professional roles. Transferable skills, it's a clear signal of that. As I said, greater earning potential and increased career prospects. But there's got to be, as I said, there's got to be something for everyone. So employers, what's in it for them? Well, there can be it's an assurance of an employee's competence, particularly someone who's just coming into the organisation anew. It's easier to identify the skills that staff already have, and we all know that sometimes employers don't always know what skills that they hold. That's a big issue in the UK. It verifies the credentials of staff, it verifies how far they've got in their career, what experiences that they've got. It helps to create something of a structure so that technicians can seek new developments in their work. Look where maybe they've got a gap in their skill set and pursue a different project or a different part of the business and work there. For employers, they can also refer to a professional code of conduct, which I guess is not only helpful to them, but can be helpful to the employee. It's also the professional body can be very helpful in terms of stimulating the employer to recognise their responsibilities in terms of investing in skills and training opportunities. So reminders, at appropriate times, which can be helpful when you're also, if any of you were reps, are pushing the employer to recognise their responsibilities. They can kind of come together, if you like, in recognising that need. And then moving on, benefits for the economy and society. Well, firstly, it raises the status of technicians as valued professionals in society. One of the things that arguably holds us back in the UK is we don't recognise the value of technicians in the way that clearly other countries do. We don't recognise what technicians do in their job now, how essential it is in the many industries that they work, or what technician skills could lead to. So it's very important, and it's also technician skills that are going to help rebuild industries and build new industries in the future. Provides an assurance of safety. Safety training is an important part of it. Obviously it's an important part of what trade unions do as well, but it reinforces that importance. Technicians, as you'll have no doubt about this, contribute massively to productivity. Registration regime is only going to reinforce that, and it contributes to raising levels of performance as we basically learn to value our technician skills better. So what do we want to achieve in this project? We've got a 2-year project that Gatsby are supporting. The primary aim is to develop positive and sustainable relationships with professional bodies on a registration agenda, capacity building with trade unions, of which this event is a major contribution, working with employers, finding pilot programs that showing that how trade unions, employers and professional bodies can work together to promote registration and support people through that. So we are in what we are in the process of doing is holding. We're in constructive dialogue with professional bodies and building sustainable relationships with them. Of course, we've got representatives of professional bodies today. We're seeking to raise awareness, of registration for technicians. Again, that's what we're doing today. We are equipping Unionlearn reps so that they can talk about technician registration in the workplace, and I'll say a little bit about that in a moment. And supporting employers and trade unions to build best practice in this area. Final bit, or penultimate bit, the resources that we've developed already, some of them are available to you today, or if you're receiving this as a webcast after the event, are available to order. As I mentioned, the Unionlearn web pages have videos of conference speeches, which are a valuable source of information, but we also have briefings on technician registration and its value, pitched at not only trade union members but employers and others, and various case studies of how technician registration has worked. We've published an essay, which some of my speech is actually based on unions and technician registration and why it's an important agenda. Again, you can download that from Unionlearn web pages. And with you today, and it can be ordered online, is a toolkit which we've published in recent months, which explains again what the project is about and what trade union reps can do on registration. It covers what registration means and what the benefits of it are, how the registration process works, and provides signposting to eligibility checklists so that the reps know that they're making the right referral. It has information about the standards that a registered technician has to meet, what continued professional development arrangements are in place, potential progression pathways, how to overcome barriers, particularly addressing inequalities. That's an important area of our work as trade unions, and also talks about what reps can do practically with the employer. So it talks about typical negotiations, discussions with the employer, action plans, and a checklist again. And we're piloting at the moment at Sheffield University, and that's a partnership between the trade unions there and the employer and others, and in the post office, which is a very interesting case study that's taking place there and going very well indeed. Hopefully there's something to take off in Network Rail as well, but we all the time there's more and more opportunities for employers and trade unions to work together, so we're really excited about what we are building. So just to conclude and to hand over to Jazz, I'd urge you all to engage with technician registration, to make people in your workplace aware of it, and to feed back in to colleagues at TSSA the reaction and what interest there is in pursuing it, so that we can kind of gain more experience of working on this agenda and make sure it does work for technicians, for trade unions, for employers, for professional bodies, everybody alike, and for wider society and the economy. Thank you very much.